Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. Every single week I talk about the latest in Star Wars releases such as the comics, novels, TV series, and more. There's a lot to talk about this week, so let's jump right in. Starting with the comics, we have Star Wars The Flagship Series. This is issue number 59. I really like the design of the cover. We have classic action shot with Han Solo, gunslinger, western type of deal here. Pretty cool stuff. So this is part 4 of the escape. We have our heroes on the planet Hubin, which is an isolationist colony. They do not try to communicate to the outside galaxy. Luke has become very bored, very tired of waiting around because there's a whole war going out there. He wants to get involved, so behind everybody's back, he sends out a transmission, hoping that the rebels will pick up on it, only that we have the arrival of SCAR Squadron. That's right, SCAR Squadron has returned, but it wasn't because of an intercepted transmission from Luke, but they in fact have captured Sana Starros and have interrogated her for the information to find our rebels. So by the end of this issue, we have Luke Skywalker again engaged in melee with Sergeant Creel. So that is where we leave off in this issue. So this issue had a lot of humor that revolved around Han Solo. The first one being that conversation between him and Leia. She is trying to plan an attack on Shutoran because of Queen Trios betraying the rebellion at the Battle of Makata Base. They've destroyed, the Empire's destroyed pretty much the entirety of the rebellion's fleet. They're on the run, so she wants to attack them. So Han Solo thought that she was bringing him into her room for some action, right? And well, that wasn't the case, and when he admits that to her, she gets really pissed off and shoves him out the door. I thought that was just great. You see him flying out of the space there. Another thing I really enjoyed was the duel between Han Solo and this random guy at a bar. Apparently that's their custom. If somebody bumps into another person, they try to kill him. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's what happens. And we have this classic like Indiana Jones-esque scene where we have Han Solo saying, "Hey, look, is that so-and-so?" That guy actually falls for it, looks, and Han Solo shoots him with a sunblast. So yeah, Han Solo shot first in this case, and I just like the vibe of it feeling like Indiana Jones from Raiders of the Lost Ark when it's like the swordsman and Harrison Ford or Indiana just shoots him with the gun. Same kind of deal here. Really enjoyed it. I do like that we got confirmation in a timeline of when the Storms of Crate one-shot is, because I was always a little confused about when they ran into SCAR Squadron on Crate. Apparently that happened before this one, so I think this is technically the third interaction between the Rebels and SCAR Squad, so that's cool there. And overall, I just really enjoyed this issue. It's leaving off on a very strong cliffhanger. I cannot wait for the next issue. Next up in comics, we have a comic that I've been waiting for a long time. This is another one of those one-shots from the Age of Republic series. This is Jango Fett, issue number 1. I love the character so much that I had to pick up the variant cover as well, the movie edition one. So what happens in this issue? This is called Training, and it's not just about Jango Fett, but about the relationship between Jango Fett and his unaltered son clone, Boba Fett. So we have Jango Fett. He's going on a pretty easy kind of bounty that he shouldn't really be taking, only because he's taken Boba Fett along with him to kind of see how things are run in the underworld. So we have Jango Fett, Boba Fett, and these 3 other aliens. And their mission is to retrieve this female character and bring her back to her father. And, well, it's pretty easy. They got this girl. They're bringing it back to her father. And what do you know? These 2 goons that are part of the bounty group actually try to jump the Jango Fett and Boba Fett. They actually capture Boba Fett, and the kind of ransom is, okay, they want to take the bounty with them and cut out Jango Fett and Boba Fett so they make more money. Well, that's not happening because they totally underestimated Boba Fett, and Boba Fett had a hidden pistol and just totally shot up the one guy, killed him, and shot the other one. And the one other character wasn't really involved in the coup, so Jango Fett says, "Hey, it's your choice what you want to do with him, son." And Boba Fett is kind of fair in the situation and says, "Okay, you give us our share of the money and I'll let you live." And that's kind of what happens. So we have this like good bonding kind of issue between Jango Fett and Boba Fett, and just going more depth into that relationship that, you know, I feel like it was just not enough of that in Star Wars because, well, Jango Fett was introduced and killed in the same movie. Spoiler alert. So things I liked specifically about this issue were diving more into the flashbacks that we had in this issue, which were pretty cool, especially the one revolving around Count Dooku and Jango Fett on the moons of Bogdan, which we hear about in Attack of the Clones when he was recruited by Count Dooku. We see that scene, and we hear about, Jango Fett, who was wanting an unaltered clone. So there's no new information there. It just shows us physically what this planet looks like. I do like seeing, again, like a lot of the action was pretty cool. Seeing Jango Fett, seeing Slave One, a lot of cool stuff. I had very high expectations of this issue. Unfortunately, it wasn't what I expected. I thought we would get a little bit more information on the backstory of Jango Fett. We didn't really get a whole lot of new information. It was more about the Boba Fett and seeing how ruthless he is as a kid, and we kind of seen a lot of that in the Clone Wars. But overall, I think this shows potential. It shows us that we can get a lot more stories on Jango Fett, and I really, really hope we do, maybe for like the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones or something. I mean, we are getting a lot of prequel content right now, so I wouldn't rule anything out. But I don't know if there's a huge following that's out there shouting out the rooftops for a Jango Fett novel or a comic book series. I know I am. But anyway, I did enjoy this issue for Age of the Republic. It's a pretty strong series so far. Every story I've gotten, I've liked a lot. So I can't wait to look forward to the specials that are coming out next week. And next up, and final comic we have is Star Wars Adventures Destroyer Down issue number 3. Now remember, this was part of Loot Crate special editions or whatever, but now they are released for the rest of the public to buy from your local comic book store. So we have 2 stories as always. The first one is Destroyer Down. This follows the current events in the Force Awakens type of era with Rey. She is going to the Star Destroyer that recently got unburied enough for her to enter it, and well, there's lots of stuff going on. There's reactivated droid that is going around trying to throw people out airlocks, and she's trying to get this precious part. She does get the part, and to try to get out of there, she's also being hunted by none other than Sarko Plank. And well, she ends up having this great plan with all these rations. She turns on the sprinklers, the water, and it just makes these biscuit things just explode like out of the Force Awakens. She puts the water in a little portion thing and it turns into it. Well, she does that like times like 10 million, and now like the bread or whatever the heck just like completely destroys the whole ship, and we have Unkar Plutt who's just pissed because he wanted this ship for himself, and now it's pretty much just back down in the earth again, destroyed. And Rey ends up making friends with Sarko Plank, who comes back to her place and gives her some portions. So I never expected that to happen, so that was really cool there. I mean, I like Sarko Plank. He was a character in Weapon of the Jedi. He fought Luke Skywalker. He seems like he's a no-good dude, but by the end of this issue, Rey gives him a hand, saves him his life, and well, he repays her with food. So it seems like he's more of a good guy now, which I'm all for. That's really cool. Next story we had was the Ghost Ship Part 3. Now this was more back in the original trilogy days when during the Battle of Jakku, we have this lone pilot from SCAR Squadron, and he has landed on this very same Star Destroyer that Rey was looting 30 years later. And well, how is he going to get out of this one? Well, he ends up having this droid go behind the stormtroopers and activate all the thrusters on the starboard side, which would actually plummet the ship into the orbit of Jakku, crashing it, and he gets out of there in an escape pod with the actual captain of the ship, and well, they get out of there alive. And it's pretty interesting how this guy was able to just get in there on his ship and somehow survive without getting shot with an entire Star Destroyer of stormtroopers. So it's pretty crazy stuff there. I do like that there was a K2SO type droid, by the way, that was in the Force Awakens era. I like how they have that mismatch of different ships. And all over, it was a pretty good little mini series of comics that were taking place before the Force Awakens. Really fun stuff there, as always, for Star Wars Adventures comics. Also out this week is the young reader novel from Disney Lucasfilm Press called Pirate's Price. It is about Hondo Ohnaka, and it is about the flight of the Falcon series. He goes to Batuu, I'm pretty sure he gets the Millennium Falcon, runs into what looks like Han and Chewie on the cover there. I have not received the book, but you can expect my review sometime in the future very soon. Moving on to TV, we have some news for Star Wars Resistance. We got the mid-season trailer for Season 1, and it is pretty darn awesome. It features General Hux with his speech that we see him in with The Force Awakens with the Starkiller base, so we know we're going to catch up to the Force Awakens events by the end of the very first season. We also got confirmation of Season 2, so that's all very exciting. I actually have my reaction to the mid-season trailer on the channel right now, so make sure you check that out after watching this. And moving on to my questions of the week. They come to me from Twitter. You can always send your questions in through Twitter or on YouTube, make sure to hashtag it Star Wars Weekly. The first one comes to me from my good friend Matthew Wilson at The Geek's Attic. He is asking, would you rather have the Disney stream shows be one-shots, a 10-episode miniseries, or contain multiple seasons? That is such a great question, because through the many different platforms of streaming services such as Netflix and HBO Go, there's so many things to have formats in. And I'll just give like a little bit of examples. I think they would work on all these different fronts, right? You have series like Fargo, for instance, on FX, and they have standalone seasons for everything. The same could be said for True Detective on HBO. It's a completely different show. It's called True Detective, but each season focuses on different characters in different locations. So maybe they could do something like that. I do like the idea of like not having a show go on more than like 10 episodes, because sometimes they can get a little stale. They can kind of tread their wheels a little bit. And the Star Wars universe is such a vast place that I'd rather most of the time explore different characters constantly, because that's kind of like the format of the Clone Wars. It's like, okay, you have 3 episodes here for your arc. We're going to explore this character, this Jedi. We're going to go into the clones. We're going to see that. And that's why I think I like the Clone Wars so much, is we get such a wide, vast array of what is going on in the galaxy around us. One-shots, that would be interesting, because there's a show out there called Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. That is almost like a one-shot kind of story, because in a way they're like an hour-and-a-half long episode. They're pretty self-contained for the most part. They do connect to the other episodes, but they are such long, lengthy episodes, they almost feel like a feature-length movie. So maybe have like an Obi-Wan type of one-shot or something like that. I know earlier in the week that Disney did confirm they're not going to develop any kind of movies, Star Wars related, on the platform right now. So it does look like they're going to kind of stick to more of the TV or long-running series. Multiple seasons, that's going to be interesting. I have a feeling that The Mandalorian and Cassian will probably be multiple seasons, and I'm perfectly okay with that, especially with The Mandalorian, considering that they have so much time to play with. I believe it's going to be like 2 or 3 years after Return of the Jedi, so they have like, 27 years or whatever the heck it is until they run into The Force Awakens, so that can go on for so long. So all in all, I'm for all of them, really, as long as the subject matter is there, strong canon material is there, I'm all for it. Next up comes from James M., the Crazy Gamer Historian 1999. He's on Twitter at Robin McCormick. He asks, would you like to see Galen Merrick, that is Starkiller, come back to the new canon as a Sith or Inquisitor? Funny you should mention that, because I'm pretty sure he was very close in being in Star Wars Rebels. That's where the Inquisitors kind of came up in canon from that TV series. I would absolutely love that, because Galen Merrick, he is such an interesting character. He is an apprentice to none other than Darth Vader, in Darth Vader's pure form, right? So, he had Ahsoka as a Jedi, and then he has Galen Merrick as a Sith apprentice. I really enjoyed the Star Wars The Force Unleashed video games. The second one wasn't great. I do like the combat, in the second one, but the first one really explored a lot of places. It explored the rebellion, all that. I thought he was a very strong character. He was voiced by Sam Witwer, who has later gone on to do lots of things like Darth Maul and Sidious and stuff like that. So I would love to see Galen Merrick, because he's got such an interesting style to him, the way he holds his lightsabers and just the conflict in him. I think he would make a great Inquisitor. I'm hoping that they just didn't throw him away completely. Hey, maybe he'll show up in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the new game coming out from Respawn at the end of the year. Hey, you never can rule anything out. They seem to be pulling a lot of things from Legends lately. I mean, they pulled Thrawn, which is a big one, and they're constantly pulling different ships and stuff like that. So never rule anything out. They probably are just trying to find a place where they can put him in there that'll feel most natural, not just to be complete fan service. You know what I mean? And final question of this week comes from Waru Slayer at Waru Slayer. He asked me, Star Wars Weekly, what would you rather have? A novel trilogy of Dooku or a comic series of Knights of Ren? Man, that is such a tough question. I mean, we're looking at 2 different mediums in 2 different complete eras, right? And Dooku, he is such an interesting character. Like, we know almost nothing about him from what he says in Attack of the Clones. I mean, we are getting an Age of Republic one-shot issue of him sometime in the next month or 2. So that'll shed a little bit of stuff on his backstory, but I still would love the idea of a trilogy of books. Like, we could see him like under the tutelage of Yoda. We could see another book of him training Qui-Gon Jinn, and then like another book of him like falling and leaving the Jedi Order. Like, that would be a pretty cool kind of trilogy right there. Then again, I'm looking at a comic series of Knights of Ren and seeing what the potential of that, to see that visually, of like Kylo Ren leading these dark side users, perhaps, maybe, we're not really sure what they are. Hopefully we'll get a better idea in episode 9 of what they could be doing. And I'm almost guaranteeing that they're going to have some kind of content related to Knights of Ren once episode 9 comes out. Once episode 9 comes out, I think the floodgates will open and there will be an immense amount of material that's going to come out between The Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi, because they just want to keep that stuff kind of closed off for now, because they don't want to spoil anything for the last movie of the sequel trilogy here. So, coming down to this, can I just say both? I mean, that's just like a dumb answer, but I really would like to see both of these. I probably would rather have Knights of Ren be a novel, because I feel like there's so much more depth that they can explore in a novel. But I would like to see the visual representation of that. It really just depends on how much more they tell us about them in episode 9. So that's going to do it for my questions for this week. Thanks to everybody who submitted their questions. I love answering them. You guys could always get your questions in, again, through Twitter. You can tweet me at Starrapter using hashtag Star Wars Weekly. You can also comment down in the comment section below of this very video on YouTube with the hashtag Star Wars Weekly. Any question that relates to Star Wars is up for grabs, so ask away. Next week, you guys can look forward to Age of the Republic special. Number 1, I believe it will have a Mace Windu story, an Asajj Ventress story, a Captain Rex story, and I possibly might have a Jar Jar Binks story in there as well. We are also going to get Star Wars Adventures issue number 17. So that's going to do it for this video of Star Wars Weekly. What did you guys think of all the comics that came out? Are you excited for Star Wars Resistance, especially with that trailer? What are you looking forward to in the future of Star Wars in general? Let's talk about it all in that comment section below. Guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I have plenty of other Star Wars content that I update on this channel on a frequent basis. So if you aren't already subscribed and you like what I did in this video, do yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video from me. That is going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.